welcome back there. So now the second half of this recording will be much more free form. I think it's worth mentioning though and explaining for our viewers the tree situation there. I think that requires a good portion of explanation there. So we'll leave it up to Darren to explain the tree situation, considering he's the one who probably feels the most passionate about all of it. So on you go, my friend, on you go.
Right, so basically James ran in the afternoon of Saturday's Dishforth 2 rounds of bomb run. So there was various numbers stuck up all over the Big Five with various different numbers, generally 0 to 9, and only certain numbers were required for making up the code to disarm the bomb. You could differentiate between required numbers and not required numbers because they usually had some sort of lettered blurb across the bottom. I think in the first game
it was a line from a nursery rhyme.
It was indeed, yeah. It was something along the lines of "Twinkle, twinkle, little star."
Yeah.
How I wonder what you are, etc., etc. Yeah. And you had to piece them 4 together, and you get the lettering or the wording, I should say, in the correct order, and that gave you the order of numbers required to put into the bomb within the certain time frame to be able to disarm the bomb, hence win the game. As infuriatingly as it must have been for those guys the first time round, which was yourself, Boneheed, Joker, Spectre, Ben, Aiden, I believe, was the guy with the Captain America shield.
Yeah.
And a couple of others. As try as they might, they searched through every building, around buildings, on the metal girders outside some of the buildings, of which they got all 3. They got 3 of the 4 numbers required. The last number, knowing that obviously we worked out very quickly, as probably they did as well, because one of the numbers was very near to our spawn point, that it's a nursery rhyme, and they need to work out the nursery rhyme to be able to get all the numbers. So we then took it upon ourselves of making sure we pushed them back as far as we could, but when they started advancing and making ground, that we defended this last number to the best we possibly could. And obviously time ran out, so therefore we managed to do our part and stop them from getting the code. Then came our turn. So again, myself, Ross, and a few other players managed to infiltrate, flank, do multiple different maneuvers, and managed to get into absolutely every single building. Searched every single building. Searched all girders around every single building. Every single place we knew had been used for the previous game, and searched and searched and searched. And we probably very similar as to the first team. We had the 3 numbers of the 4 probably within 5 to 8 minutes of that game. We had the 3 numbers. We had 1 number left, which grew more and more and increasingly more infuriating, because no matter where we went and no matter where we searched, we could not find this last flaming number. To the point where, alas, as said, for the previous team, again, our time ran out. Boo-hoo, didn't get the code, didn't disarm the bomb. We didn't win that game. They managed to defend. Or so we thought. We also found out afterwards, after we interrogated James, that on this particular side of the game, he decided to put one of the numbers in a freaking tree. Hence the now infamous line of "in a tree." So there it is. That's the explanation. We searched absolutely everywhere, all over the site, absolutely everywhere. And it does actually turn out that Ross and one of the others had actually run past that said sign in the said tree, probably 4, maybe 5 times.
Yeah, I mean, as I said earlier, Darren, the irony of that was, there was a stage where myself and Ewan were discussing, we've got 3 numbers, we've got a 1 in 7 chance we worked out as of getting it right. we should just put a code in, and we didn't, and we persevered. And if we'd have done that, we might, the bomb might have gone off, but it might not have. But then there was a moment where I'd spotted the code that was in the tree, the number that was in the tree, and I said to you, and we've got that one, and there's another one in the bar that I don't think they'll get.
I don't know if we've run out yet, though.
Yeah, we've got one there, so unless they get that one.
We've seen it.
Ah, shit, okay. I don't know if they've got the one in our spawn.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Right. I'm assuming you need that.
Yes. Don't, but that'll be helpful. Thank you.
You got any issues?
No, just for the longer ones.
Oh, okay.
Unbeknownst to me, you'd got the one in the bar, but Ewan said, "Oh, I'm pretty sure they've seen this one in the tree because they've just run past it." And you guys must have run past it 3 or 4 times. And not seen it. It was chest high just like literally behind one of the buildings in a tree. It was really obvious. As soon as we pointed it out, you guys were all like, "Oh my God, was it that easy?" We could just see the exasperation. It was hilarious.
And what made it even more infuriating, was because Ross, and I think it might have been John, the other A-Strike member, had gone past that, as I say, between them, probably 4, maybe 5 times. And it wasn't until, because obviously we had the other 3 numbers, when John saw said number, he went, "Ah, yeah, of course. It's his daughter's birthday." What? Like, what? You tell... Oh. Right.
See, what I also loved with that whole thing was the discussion Red Team were having before the game, because all we knew was like, think back to your childhood. And everyone was going, what sort of things are there 4 of? Which resulted in, I don't know why, but somebody mentioned Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and they were like singing the theme song of what order do they go in the theme, and then realizing I'm maliciously young. I'm more familiar with the 2003 version, which is in a different order.
Yeah. We did discuss that. I think it was Spectre and Outlander were discussing that, and I don't know how we settled on TMNT. I know the clue was think back to your childhood, and obviously it was nursery rhyme, so it made sense as soon as we saw it. But we were trying to think of, well, they've got to be in a certain order, and we've got to know they're in a certain order because we want one chance to defuse. And that's when we were singing through the TMNT theme tune, and we were saying, well, what order they go in? And I think I was similar to you, Joker, in that I remembered it in a different order to what the other 2 did. So it was hilarious watching that back. And I think I've got that discussion on camera, actually.
Yeah.
So we're expecting that 4 of these numbers are marked or delineated in some fashion.
Yeah, and it's something to do with childhood.
We'd also kind of expect there's probably a cartoon character and there's probably a fucking order.
Yeah.
Like, it might be like the 4 Ninja Turtles, in which case it's Leonardo, Raphael, Michelangelo. No. Leonardo, So it's Leonardo.
Donatello's last, isn't it? Oh no.
Raphael.
The theme song?
Yeah.
No. Leonardo leads, Donatello does machine. That's a fact, Jack. Raphael is cool but rude. Michelangelo is a party dude.
So okay. that would be the order.
Yeah.
See, I love how because like the theoretical TMNT 2000s reboot, I'm just going, no, that's wrong because the order is Leonardo, Michelangelo, Raphael, Donatello.
Which is what I thought it was. But yeah, this is going to be. Hopefully, it's not Ninja Turtles then. In that case, just trying to think what else it could be.
It might get to the point where we have to decide which fucking series it is.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a case of we're going to be stood in the bar. The last 30 seconds on the clock and going, we're just going to have to put 4 numbers in.
Yeah. 6969.
So, right, it can't be, it's probably 198 something.
Yeah.
I would give you money because that way you don't have a repetition.
Yeah. So it'll not be a 9, 8 or a 1 on the end.
How old's Commander?
Me?
No, sorry, it says Commander on his...
Oh, yeah. It was Andy's. Yeah. It was the last actor's commander, sort of like made him commander instead. He's like, now you're in charge.
Yeah.
Did you passed on the
Spectre,
curse.
how old Spectre? No, not Spectre. Spartan, yes. SP words, damn it.
When was he born? Oh, shit. I really should know, I've known him for like years.
Genuinely fun.
What is it? Number 4 saying, how I wonder what you are.
Can I just very quickly jump in a line of self-defense, a very flimsy line of self-defense there. I didn't even get to go anywhere near that because anytime I went anywhere near that particular building, it was Spectre who was just hunkered down and proceeded to pepper me with shots whenever I went anywhere near it. So I don't feel so bad as that because I never actually went past it. But I do feel that it was entirely appropriate to shoot Spartan quite a few times in the legs afterwards when I saw it actually hit it because I'm thinking, no, you deserve that, mate. You deserve that.
I think a lot of the red team did that just because, in a tree. It was hilarious. What we did, I know the blue team did that, even though myself and Ewan had kind of established that we thought you'd seen that one. We thought, well, we might as well protect it anyway because it is out in the open and it's kind of the furthest away from your spawn point that we can get. And I suppose it paid off in that respect. But
yeah, absolutely, because obviously we managed to get there. Like I said, 3, maybe 4 times. Ross and one other. I think it was John. I might be wrong on that one.
Possibly.
Let's say like you said, the one inside the bar. We got that pretty soon because obviously myself, Ross, and again a couple of the others. As soon as James shouted "go," we were gone. Like the clappers, knowing which buildings were close to you. So we're like, leg it into there, quick scout, right, there's that number, and back out again. Unbeknown, obviously, we didn't see the one in the tree. And then obviously, it gets more and more infuriating as further you go and you keep treading over the same ground. It's like, well, where the hell is this number? And lo and behold, it's in a freaking tree. So there you go.
There we are. So make sure that...
Sorry, I was just going to say, surely Ross doing what Ross does, I imagine he would have gone around the entire field without being seen and probably shot several of our team before we'd even seen him.
He even said to me, when we found out where it was, he went, I've been past there at least 3 times. Managed to flank round and get past there 3 times. I was like, well, I've been round there at least once. I've been in that bar building twice. But anyhow, it's one of them.
Having looked at it afterwards, I think the font choice definitely done a lot to try and hide it. It wasn't exactly a bold, prominent font,
The writing was quite small as well, so if you were particularly hard of seeing, as I am, I needed to get quite close up to read it. I don't wear my glasses for nothing, so I could see the numbers from the range, but I could see there was something written below them, but I wouldn't be able to read it without getting semi-close up, and I think that worked in the favour of both teams. In that there were several of us that are, shall I say, advancing in age, and therefore eyesight maybe isn't what it used to be.
No,
as I say, I'm similar. I'm finding that quite often I used to wear my paintball mask for obviously face cover, etc., etc. I'm finding now that I get fogging up issues, not with the mask. The mask is absolutely fine, but it's my glasses inside the mask that fog up. So I tend to having to either, if I know there's a very good chance I'm going to get a face strike, I have to either run with no glasses and the paintball mask on, so I am particularly blind, or I have to run with an old pair of safety glasses that I've got that are the more wraparound type. But they're an old prescription, so yes, I can see, but things are a little maybe on the fuzzy side. So it's a bit of a rock and a hard place, but in a freaking tree.
I think that's going to become immortalized now.
We absolutely need a tree count on this video, and I will be disappointed if there isn't one. Like bottom corner, just like a little, ping, 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 ping. More trees.
The icon of a tree in the bottom corner, and the number counting as it's how the number of trees is mentioned.
Well, you guys have been kind enough to me today to not be swearing profusely, so I'll balance out this time. Don't. I'm going to regret that. I'm going to regret that. Moving on, shall we? Moving on. Thank you, Joker. So
I feel as someone from Sheffield, I ought to repeat that just so you get it in proper Sean Bean style, but I'm going to not because David asked me. Anyway,
so
that's 3 minutes of just continual bleep.
Yeah, yeah. Oh dear me. Why do I do this again? Why did I do this?
You set them up and we knock them down, David. What can
Yeah.
you know? You're a people pleaser, mate.
Yeah. Now, highlights. Let's move on rather quickly to highlights from the event. Okay. No particular limit on how many highlights that you've got, guys. Just going around the table. I'll start. Okay. I had off the back of the Teesside event where I was attending with Bendy, I was particularly annoyed at the accuracy of the full auto Nightingale. And I had mentioned on the Britain of Discord, what can we do? Can we try and incorporate a bearing scar into the Nightingale barrel? Nat on the Discord said, well, probably not, but we can see what we can do. 10 minutes later, came up with a P car. Very simple. Basically, got the measurements, replaced at the front. The front inch of it or so has just got 3 guide rails, and it done wonders. Absolutely turned it into a laser. I mean, you were getting, for the semi-auto, you were getting it shots, 14 out of 15 shots within like a 4-inch square. Okay. At 10 meters, and that was fantastic. That was the sort of accuracy that I was looking for there. For the full auto, it was definitely cutting down the spread to probably about a foot, maybe. The occasional outlier, if it was an odd one. The round-headed ACC darts, the orange and black round-headed ACC, they're still prone to shooting off at all angles. So fine, it's not wire, okay?
Because the ACC darts are. I've only ever seen one blaster they work well in.
The jet ones.
Swift with the longest barrel it can get.
Fair enough.
I imagine they're aimed more at springers because of the geometry of the head of the dart. I imagine doesn't take to flywheelers particularly well.
Yeah,
and obviously firing from a Nightingale, you're gonna have a bad time.
Yeah, so I thought, right, we're running on a limited pool here because basically dart recovery at Dishforth is 10% of darts. Okay, so I ran the semi-auto Nightingale and the big riot shield, and genuinely I was arcing shots and hitting shots accurately. I was so pleased at that. It's something so simple to just simply say, I'm taking a shot and it's going where I'm wanting it to go reliably. Just that was a real highlight for me. Just to simply actually not feel as though I'm basically sending darts in the general postcode of the opposing player, but actually I stand a very good chance of even angling shots through pieces of intervening terrain. The tire stack that's got the vertical tire that you can actually shoot through. You can actually take a shot through that there. Okay, so that would be for me one of my big highlights, or just simply genuinely getting so much more enjoyment out of it by running a flywheel, which is inherently inaccurate, but such a simple 3D printed part fixed it and gave me so much more enjoyment out of it. Sarah as well noticed it there. I believe Ross is going to try and do something to see what he can do for her Phoenix 2.0. I tag in Boneheed just now. Phoenix 2.0.
Just on that with the Nightingale, what spec week was that? Was it a 130 FPS one that you were running, or is it
just a bog standard out the box 130 FPS. I didn't notice any particular drop in FPS.
Okay.
Probably because it was maybe an inch worth of rail.
Yeah.
And they're not. I wonder if I'm getting that to actually try and do like a sort of like cutaway of it so I can show it on the screen here for people. Okay. It was just a bog standard out the box 130. Nothing mechanically done to it. The only other things that were on it were my extended battery tray 3D printed component there. Okay.
And a bit of pick rail.
And the bigger pick rail,
yeah,
which was phenomenal. I absolutely loved it. It was just took a sidearm that I loved and took it into irreplaceable category. The only thing now that I would say would probably surpass it would be a Diana. Okay. But you know, yeah, that's an entirely different topic there. Okay, it would be, because I was thinking, what do we do? Do we try and just try and pass these on to somebody? Do I go and get Diana? Do I invest in Diana? I thought it was really sort of getting me down, and then just a simple fix, just completely changed the entire experience for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be interested to get those files actually, because I ended up running. I will come on to one of my highlights in a second, but I ended up running. I ran out of ammunition for one of my highlights, and I ended up running a Nightingale for most of the. I think it was the bomb run game, and again, it's a 130 Nightingale, so the accuracy is not fantastic. It's a semi-auto, so you may be hitting a lot closer range than you would like to. But it did some work. I got a good few trades with Al. The running theme for me at Dishforth is I either go around a corner and run straight into Al and blue, and I have no choice about it, or I tend to do trades with Al, and I had about 5 or 6 trades with Al in this game, including the one where I shot him in the nuts. But there was one on sort of a grass berm. Outlander had been taken out. Someone else was there with some sort of sneaky potato apparatus, and I didn't realize they'd been tagged. I think it might have been Joker with his Nexus, with their Nexus Pro actually. And I went up and saw that Al was there and managed to get him with a Nightingale, and I can't remember what he was firing, but it was something much more powerful. So that was good. But yeah, my highlight, absolutely, the work of Phoenix 2.0. This thing shoots so much further than I expected it to. It's hitting about 165, 170 out of the box. Shipped from Hong Kong in about 3 days, so I was very impressed by that. I had it turned up to about half power, so I was getting maybe 5-6 darts a second. But in the dice games, if you've got some of that footage, David, you'll see I was hitting fully across the field, just smacking people square in the midships with it, and it did some work. It does chew through ammunition.
Oh, hit. That was a blaster hit. Oh, there you go. I think I need to reload though. This thing chews through mags. I like this thing.
Very, very, very quickly, which is one of the downsides. But I'm very, very pleased with my purchase, and it was the star of the show for me on the day. Again, I managed to use it for the dice game and the first half of the bomb run, and then when I ran out of ammunition, I was down to a Nightingale, but I was more suppressing, more sort of covering fire then, relying on Spectre and Outlander to do the heavy lifting for me. And of course, Joker with the Nexus was particularly effective, which I'm sure is going to come up when we pass over to Joker. But one last highlight for me of the game, apart from making Spartan absolutely lose his entire soul when he spotted me and didn't realize I was there, is the absolute goat of any Nerf war, and that is the folding grabby stick. It goes on your belt if you're over a certain age where you can't get down very far. It's brilliant for dart sweeps. It is the absolute best piece of kit I have bought for Nerfing ever, and it cost about £15 from Amazon. Get one, use it. It's fantastic. And then I'll tag whoever else would like to go next.
I mean, I'm just going to jump in and just go the entire existence of the Nexus Pro X.
Yeah, I got some excellent footage of you, Joker. You were slam firing away in the skeleton area, and I think I actually said someone's enjoying their purchase because
no, the immediate previous sentence out of my mouth after negligent discharge at Dazzle was, "Oh, I forgot they said slam fire."
Guess who remembered his slam fire?
And then you proceeded to slam fire for the rest of that game, and I got some glorious shots of you just sort of stood there banging away at the slam fire mechanism and
yeah,
annihilating the enemies.
It's like I don't care what, but one of them hit you, Al.
I've still to actually go through the footage for some of the later rounds, but yeah, I'm pretty sure they gave you the scope cam for that particular match, so it'll be
I had the
interesting to
scope
see.
cam for I had the scope cam for the skeleton and for Bomb Run.
So we'll be
where it's
sure to see if we
unfortunately
can put some footage in here for you.
hopefully it's not just all trudging to and from spawn, because I know I'm not the fastest. And I also just generally try and avoid climbing if I can, because that was my first nerf event since the incident that injured me and left me unable to go to Maryland Mayhem. So I was trying to go a bit harder, but at the same time I was very well aware that this is my first time nerfing in, a little over 5 months. Because I think Nerf Mania Golf was the last one. Maybe.
Foxtrot.
Did you go to
Foxtrot? We never even got to golf. Yeah, I forgot. It was Foxtrot. Keep on thinking it was NMG for some reason. But yeah, it was just like the Nexus Pro X, absolute star. Do need to replace my darts because I've got like when the Worker Gen 2 high ends came out, I ordered 3,000 of the things, and I've been using those ever since. And they're what, 2-3 years old now, so they've kind of swollen up a bit. And to my surprise, like, Nexus Pro X, this will be ideal for a 200 FPS game. Load up the bearing scar, load up my brand new unicorn mag, go to the chrono, boom, 240, and just go.
Insert motor revving sound there, David.
Just a chunk. A motor revving sound on a Springer. Yeah, well done.
I was meaning more to cover the F-bomb there, Joker,
yes.
but never mind.
but no, like,
for this particular episode, every bleep is a little symbol of a tree on the person's mouth.
Yeah.
No, that's more editing. No.
What more editing? You want me to mention trees again?
Trees? Why are we talking about trees?
Yeah, trees.
Tree.
I hate you lot. I really do.
But yeah,
tag in one of the other two before this.
But no, it was also like the Nexus Pro X also just handing it off to Sarah, and just like,
yes,
just being able to go. That's a really light prime. It gets 200 FPS.
I think that was Sarah's definite highlight. Was her being able to prime a 200 FPS Springer, because one of the things is Sarah, is a short individual, so as such she does not have essentially the longest reach. And when it came sort of try to get her kitted out for bigger events, unfortunately I only really sort of had, at the time, I think it was a Nexus, the original Nexus, which, as if you've ever used it, it's got a crunchy prime. It's not the easiest to use, so it wasn't a problem for me, but when Sarah tried to prime it was just like, this ain't going anywhere. So we've done the flywheel, and then as it is, we got very lucky by getting access to a Phoenix 2.0 on the cheap, which has basically served her very, very well. And having used it at Teesside, I would go so far as to say the Phoenix 2.0 would definitely be an upgrade to the Nightingale for me if I wanted to have a little bit more longer range while still using the shield. But we got lucky by getting one cheap. Buying a second one is definitely, there's about some pros and cons to importing it there. But for Sarah, yeah, the feeling, the knockoff links as it is there, and the 2.0 Nexus Pro,
Nexus Pro X.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you. The Nexus Pro is definitely something that I'm going to look at there.
Yeah, and Blaster Time, I believe, literally just got them in today as we're recording this.
They do. €70, I believe, obviously, plus shipping.
Well, our birthday's in September, so who knows?
Yeah. I mean, for me on that, I have a love-hate relationship with the Nexus, the original one. I don't like the Prime on it. I didn't get an opportunity to try out Jokers on Saturday, which I wish I'd asked to have a go with. For me, I'm not too bothered with a Pro X for €70, but if we've got newer members of the hobby coming in and they need something for an event like Dishforth, for €70, it's literally a 200 FPS blaster out of the box.
I'll need to see if
you know.
Blaster Time have got the spring kits, because one of the things that I did with my Nexus Pro Original was I turned it into my Maryland Mayhem primary, so mine's down at 120 FPS, which is where it excels. And I got the Nexus Pro X thinking, oh yeah, this will be trivial. It's just a drop-in upgrade, and I can convert to half darts and not have to haul this pile of rig across the. Oh no, it hits 200 stock.
And that's the thing, but I mean,
they have come out with a downgrade spring, but you can only order that off of Dart Zone Blasters or dartzone.com, and they only ship to the US and Canada.
Yeah, which is
currently Blaster Time have the Nexus Pro X available for pre-order.
Yeah. But again, it's one of those things for €70. It's an excellent entry into the high FPS market. I mean, if you think
you can pre-order it and you can pre-order it and it'll be released the 1st of July.
So we'll probably get it sooner based on what happened with the Seagull. But side point, if you verse that blaster against the next best thing, which would be, say, a long X, the 0x shot long shot, you would have to buy a plunger tube, you'd have to buy a barrel, you'd have to buy a spring as well. So that's probably going to be approaching €70 anyway. So the Nexus Pro X is a really good entry level high FPS blaster for my money.
It's certainly something. If I was coming into the hobby today, I would take that as a very solid recommendation.
Absolutely.
Although I would still be the Seagull would still be one of those things that would be quite interested in comparing it directly against there. But I'm at 5'10", Sarah's what, 5? She's like 5 foot and out. Okay,
I mean, the Seagull's a harder prime than the Nexus Pro X. I would. It's a much more difficult to prime blaster because it's meant for the higher tolerances. I love my Seagull. Don't get me wrong, but I can understand why it's not for everyone.
Having used Spectre, Seagull, and the Nexus Pro X back to back, because they were both brought back from Maryland Mayhem, and they did a bit of testing, with them in Maryland, and I sort of had a bit of a shot while I was going to collect all my imports from his house. I will say my acid test opinion, having had them both in my hand about a minute each at that point, the Seagull feels a lot more solid blaster. The Nexus is much lighter and more agile to go with that.
I'd agree with that.
I mean, preferences.
Yeah, the Seagull's very well made. It really is. But it's a mini Harrier, so that's what it is. And Worker do make very well made blasters. Again, shout out to the Phoenix.
Okay.
Oh, I'm still annoyed they haven't made a Phoenix 2.1 with Nightingale mag compatibility.
Yeah,
but we
that's one of the things. The grip on this thing. I mean, I've not got particularly big hands, but it is a chonky boy. So yeah,
it is. Going to tag in Ben and Darren just now for their highlights before the three of us hog the entire screen time.
Go on, Ben. You go first.
Don't say anything involving plant life. Just don't. Okay.
Tree.
What trees?
Brought that on myself. Absolutely brought that one on myself.
Just don't mention it, and hopefully they'll forget.
Yeah.
Bushes.
What? Forget
shrubs.
about the trees.
So my highlights of the day were probably. Obviously, I've made it clear that I love my grenades, and one of the highlights for me was getting Al like 4 times in one game or something, because he kept trying to push a corner I was at. And you just get closer, and before he can come around the corner and get me or chuck his own grenade or whatever, suddenly a BFG's coming around the corner. And then he goes away, respawns, I run around the corner, pick it up, click it around, do the next one. I always love doing that when I can. But I like the bangs. Going back to another highlight one was going back to the bomb kind of game mode. It's on my footage and Aiden's footage. We were kind of a few yards behind Ross as he was going to respawn. And you can see in my footage, I can see Darren walking past left to right. And I'm thinking I could shoot him, but then he knows we're here. I don't think Ross knows that we're like behind him. And I thought if I can sneak round looking for this last number, I might be able to win the game or get the game won. And as I'm just rounding the corner, Aiden shouts, "Ben, he knows you're there," because Darren's doubled back because he spotted me. And as I'm quickly scanning through the building door, and I see him flash past right to left, I pull my Diana, switch it to full auto, start to fire as I'm going around the corner, and you can see from my footage I get one shot off before suddenly the camera's full of grass.
Don't shoot me! Don't shoot me!
You alright?
Yeah, I'm good.
Hand up.
By the way, you're both dead. Just say it.
Still got your ankles.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Just making sure this is a safe area for you, Mum.
And you can see from Aiden's footage that my left foot has got snagged on about 2-inch corner of like paving slab, and that side of my body's just not going anywhere. So suddenly I'm on the floor. It hurts in the
Thankfully you
moment,
didn't
but
break anything though.
no,
Yeah.
I didn't break anything on me. Didn't break any equipment. I was worried about.
You landed Diana first as well, so I was really worried that you'd break it with that.
Yeah, there's a nice green spot on the grip of my Diana, seemingly probably where it hit the ground. It did break later in the day, but I don't think it's related. But you can see in the footage as well, because when I pull my secondary, I tend to hold my milsig with my left hand, just hold it close 'cause it's only on a 1 point. And you can see it flies up into the air, and me holding it, and then I try and catch myself, so it's just floating in the air as I'm as me and everything's falling to the ground.
Insert footage here, David.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Several times in this slow motion.
Yeah, just
Let's see that again.
let's see that from a different angle.
Let's
Yeah, well,
see that again.
It's
in
like I've
slow
already
motion.
it's like I've already cut those 2 bits of footage together and already slowed them down and stuff and posted them on like my YouTube, for instance.
Yeah.
But
You
like,
did,
that is a highlight. I think it was a highlight for a few people that saw it, like Darren and Ed and stuff. It's probably enjoyable to watch me hit the deck. But yeah, I'm fine after that, so I can laugh about it. Nothing serious. I'm not sure what other highlights I have, really, to be honest. It was all kind of generic fun more than anything.
Yeah.
I tend to not do anything different to what I normally would, so
You've got your
I think-
particular play style,
yeah.
and it's a constant, reliable source for enjoyment for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Tag in Daz.
One thing with
Who's-
sorry, just before you tag in, does
Yep,
one thing
no.
with that milsig you've got, Ben. That thing is scary when it's sort of 2 inches from your ear because it's so quiet normally, and then all of a sudden you just hear.
It was
it's-
funny watching Aiden's footage back and just hearing the pops of me firing.
Yeah.
And James pointed out as well that sometimes when a shot isn't getting close or when I'm starting to panic, you can hear the frustration. Suddenly it's pop 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 as I'm spamming the trigger.
Yeah.
I think there was a moment during the T-side footage where it was very much, you could hear that pop pop pop. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good fun. I love it.
I think. All right, we'll tag in Daz now, and there you go. You've unmuted yourself, buddy.
Yeah, it's fine. For me, probably, I don't really have a standout singular highlight moment. I must admit, I do agree with Ben. I saw him trying to flank building 1, and as I'm literally going past the far side of it, just literally see him and Aidan coming through the gap in the bank at the back of it, thinking, "Oh no, you fucking don't!" Belting it back, hoping he's going to stop at the back door, which in fact he did. I tear us straight past the main entrance, no intention whatsoever to stop to go in the building or check the building, literally to get round the corner, and I'm halfway down the side of the building as said Diana has been drawn, and I can hear the plungers start going duck, duck. The next see Ben Supermaning across the back of the building and landing on the floor. And next, all I can remember thinking in my head going, "What are you doing down there?" And obviously strolling up, Aidan's obviously stopped because his mate's on the floor on the deck, making sure. And I walk up and go, "You do realise you're both dead now, don't you?"
That's caught in the footage as well.
Yeah. Oh, I won't shoot you, but you do realise you're both dead.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, you're right.
Yeah. Tag. You're right. You know.
Yeah. But yeah, as previously said, and also Ben's already touched on that. Obviously, no harm was done to either person or equipment, so that's all good. But yeah, that was a good giggle moment after the fact. Once we realised, obviously, everything's all right.
Yeah.
And obviously, touching on it was not particularly a highlight, but touching on when Bonehead said that Ben's Milsig is very prominent in sound when it's firing. Obviously, the rest of you are obviously aware of the noise because you've all played against or played with Ben a few times now. But obviously, having owned a Milsig myself, and then obviously I've passed it on now because I don't get the use out of it that Ben does. I'm very attuned to hearing that pop, pop. I'm like, I know where Ben is, and either beeline for the noise or I'm going to go around this way. But no, that was a should say a tongue-in-cheek comical moment when Ben tried to immolate Superman and failing miserably. But other than that, I think the highlight of the game for me, I think, was the entire day.
Mm-hmm.
It was that last Saturday for me was just a particularly good event. Apart from my only niggle, as we've already touched on, when James was still with us on this recording, was the skeletal game with the dice. Was a bit of a like a downside for me for the fact that we tried to do it with four teams, never done before, so you don't know until you try. We've tried it, we realised it doesn't work. Other than that, the whole day for itself in its entirety for me was a highlight. The selection of players, the games played, the weather. It was just an all in all excellent day.
Absolutely. Seconded. I enjoyed the hell out of it. The first game I've managed to do where I played every single game throughout the entire day. So yeah, fantastic event. James did amazing at arranging it, and yeah, we tried some things that didn't work.
Yeah, but like you say, we've got to try them at least once. You don't know until you try them. We've tried them, okay. We chalk it up to experience, okay. Over there, it works. Look, amazingly, it's really good fun and a really good extra dynamic of, oh shit, hang on a minute, there's there's actually, there's 3 other corners, an extra 2 corners you've got to worry about here. Skeletal, no, it doesn't work. But again, also we found with a good number of players where we've had 6, 7 aside, it doesn't really tend to lend well to that scenario as well. The skeletal is more as we've already touched on, so we're kind of going over ground here. The skeletal is a very sort of like small numbers area, and when you have got a small number, 4, maybe 5 per side and just 2 teams, it's a hilariously good fun with the banks and the bits of wall structure. Yeah, it's great. It's good, really good fun. But all in all, I just really do like Dishforth. It's a phenomenal site, and I'm really glad that with the help of Nathan, James has managed to get back there.
Yeah, I second that absolutely. It's I don't know if it's just how it particularly sort of feels to me, but this year we're in May, we're rapidly approaching June, and it just feels like it's been quite light on events for me. Now again, this is not casting any sort of comment about our beloved game organisers who work their asses off for little to no thanks at times. But getting to a day that I can go down. Yes, it's like a 4 or 5 hour drive there and back. It's a lot of effort. You know, you're paying for the day after, but it's that chance to see friends, kick back, relax, have a lot of laughs, have some genuinely good, challenging gameplay, in a site that never feels that you're just going over the same old ground again, you know, because you can very easily, like you said, you know, changing it from 4, the same game type, but changing from 2 teams to 4 teams, same big 6, big 5, whatever you want to call it, okay, changes everything. It's like an entirely new event, an entirely new location. It feels like almost every time you go there by just simply changing 1 or 2 dynamics to things.
Yeah,
I will say also.
Sorry, go on, Joker. Go ahead.
I will also say that was my 3rd time at Dishforth, and I made 1 change to my kit, which was changing my iPro, and suddenly the venue clicks because I'm in kit that allows me to see and breathe. Because I'm that chimp who has full face, like a full face helmet and a balaclava for most 200, 300 FPS games. And it's just like, oh, it turns out being able to breathe is actually really conducive to having a good experience. And finally, I've went down to Dishforth and not just been like, I've done half a round in the big 6 and my lungs feel like they're about to explode because I'm just dying due to the humidity around my face.
Yeah, I mean, what I was going to say, and it kind of mirrors what Darren said in the sense that a tiny change at Dishforth makes it feel so much fresher. You know, every time I've done, I think it's my 3rd or 4th visit now, and every time's been different. And I think what made this one particularly special is I got to play some games at higher FPS with some of the N7 guys, so Spectre and Joker, who were both on my team, which I was quite thankful for because they both nerf in a very different way to how I nerf, because I'm very much just shoot anything that moves, you know, ammo firing potato, whereas they're more tactical and they move things and they look at objectives. And it was interesting to see the transition from 130 or 1 duel games with those in attendance to the higher FPS where their tactics really come into play. And I think that's why Red Team won some of the games, because Spectre is a very good tactician in that respect. But also, well, he's all right, you know. But I mean, Spectre himself said,
keep his ego to, you know, reasonable levels, you know.
He got tagged a lot. He was out more than he was in. Anyway, I think just having Spectre and Joker there made it a very more. Sorry, go on, Joker.
You can't be out unless you're in it in the first place.
That's true. Yeah. That's very true. But no, just having Joker and Spectre there added a bit of variety for me, because again, I played with them at the 130 events, and I played with people like Ben and Darren and Ross at the high FPS events, and it was nice to see that mashup there. Same with Al and Blue. I've only really played with Al at the 200 FPS games, whereas Blue I've seen at Grim Up Nerf and I've seen it at Dishforth. But just having those new faces there makes it all different. So that combined with the different game types and the addition of the 4-player events, or the 4-player matches, was a nice change. And it's one of the things I do really love about the Dishforth event, the Dishforth venue, is it never feels the same. It's familiar, but it never feels the same, because there's always something different that makes it more interesting. It makes it worth going back for. You know, you're never going to have the same experience twice, in a very, very good way. And the addition of additional people, the more people we get there, I think the better that venue is going to be.
Yeah, I think because it's central located, I think it would be great if it could really become one of the highly desirable venues for the area. I mean, it already is because of its location, but it's got so much potential that I genuinely think James could run. This is going to sound really, really quite cheesy. I genuinely think James could run a completely different set of games every month and have a long time before he has to start repeating the game system, with some very straightforward changes there. But that's just you could do the same thing, but like you know what? I'm going to leave that one there because we are unfortunately we beggars cannot be choosers when it comes to locations. We have lost venues.
That's exactly the point. Yeah, it, like you said before, touching on that comment you made before, it feels like it's been quite light this year with events. It has. I mean, obviously, apart from going down south to the London area where the guys of Games of Thrones are throwing out quite a few events, maybe 2, sometimes 3 events a month. But obviously, they're 2, 3, 4 hour long events, which makes the trip, even for us at sort of like in the northwest, in the middle sort of ground, a long trek just for a few hours worth of playing. And you guys further up north, it's even further and even longer. So we usually only ever make the trip down to the London area when they in the previous past, like I've mentioned before, when they do the winter cob or they do the cob, depending on what time of the year they do, which was their touch on like the old Bob we used to have, and we used to have that at Dishforth, and we've had 2, I think, at Dishforth, and hopefully, by the sounds of it, with what Nerf Shack's got planned, it's going to be a very similar thing with his Bob Shack.
Yeah, because there was Boba Fest last year as well.
It's an excellent event, and Dishforth is probably one of, if not one of the perfect sites across we've used for Nerf before now. For that, it's a weekend. Come up, rock up, bring your tent, or there's even, for some that don't want to camp, there's a Premier Inn close by. The evening chin wagging and chatting and drinking is always a good laugh and silliness that people get up to. And then you've got, I would say that's usually the Friday. Saturdays, literally, you're there right from the word go. So you've got a full game worth of games. You usually have, again, you've got the evening for more food, and it's basically just getting around quite often. Well, last time we were at Bob, we just outside the safe zone on that concrete area where we had broken up bits of pallet and wood, and we had a bonfire going. It was brilliant, and it was really Dishforth was really getting its stamp on the map as the site for all your major events. But then obviously pandemic hit, and obviously the tragic news that the site owner had, and it was very, very hit and miss whether we were going to be able to keep that site within the nerfing community. I say we, it's James and Nathan that's done all the work that's managed to get it back. But other than that, unfortunately, that's what nearly happened at Dishforth. Unfortunately, is happening more and more widely across the nerfing scene. Sites are being lost, potentially because they've folded since the pandemic. That's where our site went. Others have just got to the point where it's not lucrative for them to keep it going, or or sites are getting harder and harder to obtain and book, because it is predominantly now certainly the outside events. It is predominantly airsoft and paintball sites were using. And unfortunately, they are getting harder and harder to secure because they don't want to relinquish them on a weekend for, I don't know, potentially, like we'll take this weekend just gone, 20 players turn up paying 25 pound each, whereas they have the site and they do their usual airsoft run and they can have 30, 40, 50 players turn up. So it's getting harder and harder. And unfortunately, I think that is the way it seems to be going at the moment.
Yeah, and you've got sites that are also, because of the nature of nerf, looking for 100% dart sweep, which, given that you can't guarantee, they're just going, cool, you're just not getting the site on that risk.
Yeah, which when you look at it from that, it's like, really? Obviously, you can't argue the point, but it's like looking around the site, the ground is absolutely peppered with airsoft pellets. Like
BBs and busted smoke, and
but you want 100% Nerf darts picking up. Okay, yeah, we're on a losing battle here, but
because it could be a trip hazard.
That's the way it is. Some sites have kicked back up. Fortunately, guns kicked back up again, and they've had a few 3, 4. Maybe now events now, and they're proving popular. The last one we went to was literally last month. 75 players were there, so
that was awesome. That was a brilliant game, wasn't it, Darren?
Yeah,
I was in that one,
and I must admit, fortunately, they managed to secure the bigger of the two churches that they used to always use, and it was a perfect day. Good weather, 75 players, but in the bigger area of the big church, and it was a brilliant day. And Tom and Stuart have sort of taken that on board, and they're starting to run that, and that's getting more frequent, which is brilliant, especially for the kids' point of view. It's always a popular event, the gun one for the young ones. We're at a point now where we can take all our small ones, and they enjoy it. And it's even just because I say during generally the 100 FPS ones, I don't play. I will assist with Jolt and Stuart, and I'll ref. And even that is hilariously good fun, watching the different battles and shenanigans going on, and blasters malfunctioning, and people running at forms of 8, 9, 10 kids shouting, "You fear me, I have one shot." And so forth and so forth. Yeah, securing sites and games is getting increasingly harder and harder.
Yeah, I will say that it is now current time as we are recording this. I do have work in the morning, so I'm going to have to step outside. But it has been an absolute pleasure.
Not a problem, Joker. It has been a pleasure to have you on the show.
Yep. Thank you for having me
I
on.
know Spectre wanted to join us, but unfortunately his calendar did not quite sync up, and this was the only day, I think it was, for the next 3 weeks on my calendar that I could actually be off on the same evening as James was to record stuff. So, getting James on to sit and chat about things was important there. But thank you so much for joining us there, mate.
No, it's always good, and it's always good to hear stuff. Be interesting to hear your thoughts about shields on the watch. But yeah, I've been Joker N7, and I should go. And I should find the leave button.
Can't even leave properly.
See this idiot. Yeah. See, this is why I'm not in charge of the team. I'm not as slick. But yeah, see you all around, guys.
See ya.
Make sure your leave button's not in the tree.
But back to the shields, okay? So I don't think it's particularly saying anything unusual to say. I'm quite a chunky guy, okay? So for me, the idea of having a shield, especially after having several falls and a pretty severe injury, I was very wary of it having to do movement at any sort of speed. So one of the things is when you're doing a projectile game, the idea is that anytime that you're in the open, you're a target. Okay, so when I wanted to look into having a shield, I was looking for having something like a riot shield rather than having a smaller buckler. Okay, so I was quite happy to invest, I think it was 45 quid plus like 10 quid for shipping sort of thing, on I think it was a 50 by 90 shield. There was two variations. There was the sort of more traditional blacked out place with a viewing window, or the more clear perspex one. Now I went for the perspex one, because what I didn't want was any of the footage. Whilst it was inevitably going to be on the footage, I didn't want there to just be the backside of the shield. I wanted to be transparent. So if there was something happening on the other side, it could always be visible, even if it's somewhat altered by the plastic there, okay? But I was looking for something that was able to integrate, but it didn't feel like it was broken. I mean, like I said, I'm a sort of slower moving individual, and the idea of me having just a big shield and walking around very much like a sort of mini boss from a first person shooter game, you know. Borderlands, what's the
Oh yeah, the big guys with the shields with the psychos on the front. You got to shoot the psycho to shoot through the shield, and
that
they
sort of thing.
occasionally
Okay.
whack
That
you
was
around the
the sort of
face.
going through my
Yeah.
head, okay?
Yeah.
Now I wasn't looking to have some, you know, I was quite happy to run my Nightingale. I've said it before, it's my favorite sidearm. Okay.
Yeah.
Diana, again, quite happy to say that it is a superior model, but also, you know, it came out afterwards, etc., etc. But I was quite happy to just literally run around big ass shield, which genuinely would hinder my mobility, my reflexes, everything else. Okay, but I considered it quite balanced out because I could only really use one thing, you know, the Nightingale, or in this case, I had the Pico attached for the ability to press it with my thumb, which gave me the ability to fire once special ammunition. Okay, and then I would have to stop, put the shield down, swap things over, or in the case of going back to respawn, you would swap things over. So I didn't consider it particularly overpowered or broken or making things unfair or unenjoyable for other people. I actually genuinely thought that, yes, there's quite a few times when people, as I said previously, done snapshots where they bring it up, they fire, and it's a center mass shot, and it just pings off the shield. Okay, great from a camera perspective. Okay, and then I've got maybe half a second extra to shoot them. Okay, great, fantastic. But for those people who recognised that's Dave coming around the corner, you know, it was the taking the time to line up the headshot, or taking the time to aim at the feet, or forcing me to stop moving, or waiting to catch me at certain points where it would be difficult for me to maneuver, or in some cases, letting my attention be drawn by somebody else and then shooting me when it was not thing. So I felt that it was actually that me running the shield was actually encouraging players to play better.
Yeah,
now,
absolutely.
Somebody, I know at least one person could turn around and say, "You nerf you" is a core belief of the game system, and that is correct. But I still think you should want to play better, because if you're only ever playing to a certain thing, a certain skill level or a certain play style, you're limiting your own potential enjoyment, I think.
Yes,
Other opinions
I
may
agree.
vary.
I think. I mean, I know where you're coming from with that. I think the shield was a nice addition. We have dealt with shields before. Al usually runs a shield, smaller buckler one, and a few other people have tried it in other games. I seem to remember Darth Tater using a very large shield to quite
Hold the front
lethal
page.
effect in Hold the Front Page.
Yeah.
What I found from this Saturday particularly was, although I was like, "Yep, that's David coming. I need to change my tactic." I do definitely remember taking you from behind at some point, if you'll excuse the term. At some point, I managed to sneak up behind you when you weren't aware I was there, and I managed to get you shot in the back or in the side, or your shield wasn't facing me. And there's some footage that I caught of Spectre saying, "Well, my tactic with David is I'm just going to shoot where the shield isn't." And that's where we were kind of adjusting for shooting you in the head, shooting you in the feet, shooting you in the whatever bit was sticking out from around the shield. and sideways. And my response to your shield at that point was full
Volley
auto.
of fire. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
just volley fire, and you will have got some shots hitting your shield, but again, if you've got a lot of foam coming in your direction, it's more difficult to avoid all of them.
Yeah.
It was from my perspective, I did end up playing a bit different against you, because normally I would have just shot you and moved on, and I know I'd have hit you. But this time, obviously, I'd got the shield to contend with, and I knew full well that if I just aimed in your general direction and everything that way must die, it wasn't going to work. So I found myself doing that, and then I'd got that cognitive: do I need to prepare a grenade? Can I just full auto at his feet, or do I need a grenade? And I think at one point I knew I wasn't going to be able to hit you from where I was, so I ended up just lobbing a grenade at you. It didn't go off, but it was at least, I had that kind of. Normally, I would just shoot at David, and I'd be fine. But
yeah,
he's now got the shield.
And interestingly, that forcing a different play style also worked for against Spectre, to use him as an example, not to single him out, but not Ewan, but what's Ewan's mate?
Adam.
Adam, right.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a clip, I'm sure there's a clip of it, okay? But I'm sitting behind the tires, Spectre is at the bar, he's shooting at me, okay? Adam's out of shot. Spectre goes behind cover to reload. Adam nips round, takes a hard right, takes a hard left. Spectre comes back out to shoot me, okay? And I'm just he tags me, right? But Adam's right there behind him.
Yeah.
Oh, do me a favour. Yeah. Wee bit louder next time.
No worries.
Thank you.
It's a case of, right, cool. I'm providing a distraction, so there's an additional play style that I'm not just playing myself, I'm providing for other people on my team. It's a multiplier for tactic potential, rather than just here's a wall of darts heading towards you.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I genuinely didn't find that people were forced to, or people were at a disadvantage if they hadn't packed a Mega or a Mega XL. As we've previously indicated, the grenades were really big on things, okay? But as I've also said, once you've used a grenade, unless you've got something like Bendy's blank firing multiple ones, okay, you're reloading them. Oh, excuse me. You're reloading them on way back to spawn. But for example, if you've got 4 grenades, if you've managed to survive quite a long time, those 4 grenades might well be spent, which means, I come around the corner, you've got nothing. You might get a lucky shot, but, it's a case of, I would probably even say to people, just even pick up a cheap ass, is it the Hot Shot? The single shot Mega XL. It's like £5, I think it is,
Yeah.
Al
has got, I believe, on one of his wrists, he has the Mega Hot Shock, which is just the rear prime. It's cut the grip off it, and I think he's got a different trigger system for it, but it's basically pull back the priming handle, and he's got a wrist mounted Mega blaster, and that can be a lifesaver when someone's got a shield. But I mean, Al's a very tactical player in that respect. He runs a shield himself. He knows what to do in those scenarios. But so, you're right. Something like that can be a lifesaver, even if it's just in a back pocket, pull it out and take the shield out.
You mean we've got, like, I've got the Picos and the Mighty Mama, you've got the Mighty Mama. Other people might have entirely different things. We ourselves both have a particular liking for the Ultra Dart, although James in this particular circumstance said that Ultra Darts do not count as piercing, whereas I'm sure Adam, for example, Blind Geek, he rules them as piercing, which as a shield user, I would be perfectly fine with. I still feel that Ultra should count as piercing. You could argue that it's more accurate than Mega. I would say possibly at longer ranges, but in a CQB environment, if somebody's got a bead on me from plus 15 meters away, then that's on me, you know.
Yeah.
So
I mean, my opinion on that, I think the issue for me with Ultra being piercing, and I do love Ultra, as you can see. There are Ultra blasters that will do if you use the right ammunition, or there are Ultra blasters that will do what a high FPS short dart blaster will do. And for me, that makes it a little bit too OP if you've got something that can hit at the range that a short dart can hit and the accuracy that a short dart can hit that will then take out a shield. I think personally that's a little bit OP, and I'm by no means suggesting that Adam should cancel that out because I love it.
Of course
and
not,
I love
no.
my Ultra Speed. Ultra Amp. But yeah, I totally understand why some geos don't like Ultra as piercing.
Yeah.
And
I would never say that they would need to. I would never, demand it. I would simply say that as a shield user, it wouldn't ruin my day if a geo counted it as piercing, because it's a case of, oh, well, cool. So I go back and respawn.
I mean, the prevalence of Ultra in the hobby is very limited anyway. It's only through a few select insane individuals who might or might not wear it on a t-shirt that the Ultra prevails. But yeah, I can see both sides of the coin personally. I think the consensus of Ultra isn't piercing is probably the less
the majority
kind of broken way to go. But I do still love me my Ultra.
Now, at this point in time, I'm going to tag in Bendy because at T-side, Bendy was rocking a lovely post-apocalyptic style shield. It was brutally post-apocalyptic, mate. And as such, I know that you yourself have some opinions which might echo mine, which might differ, but tag you in. What's your thoughts on it, both as playing against and playing with? Like, as an opening question, what would you do if you were out of grenades? How would you manage that?
So it's funny because whilst you were talking, I was just listening. I had muted in the background some of my footage from Saturday Gone, where it was obviously on the first pushback one where I was defending. Yeah, I know on the first building, you, David, were coming around the corner and you were just standing there menacingly with your shield. And it was as you went up the steps, you revealed your shins, and I fired 2 shots and got at least 1 hit in your right leg, as shown on the footage.
Yeah, I remember
so,
that.
Ow!
In this case like that, where I don't need a grenade, and also more footage where it was on the first bomb game where my team's trying to defuse it. You and someone else were stood at the same tires that you're on about, where it's a stack with one on its side shooting through, and I managed to get up to the bank about, I don't know, it's what, 4 yards maybe, and I managed to just put 8 or 9 Diana shots rapidly through the tires and tag you both out before you have a chance to really even see me.
Take some of this. Behind you. Behind.
Move. I've covered the front.
That way.
Yeah. I think even in the footage, you say something like, good shot or whatever. There's this case like that where you don't even need grenades. There's ways to use shields, and there's ways to counter shields very effectively. Like if there's a shield that's really been a pain in the backside, if you've got no shield piercing kind of ammo or anything like that, you can always cause a distraction, get someone else to try and flank.
Yeah.
I think I think it was in the water bomb game. It was me and Andrew Wood were coming up against you again, and I think I ended up suppressing you with my Milsig while he runs off left and gets you with his mega pistol.
Yeah, he just peeks his head round.
Yeah.
I think I managed to tag him as a sort of a reactionary shot.
Hang on. Go left, I'll suppress him. Go left.
Mega. Yeah. I'll still take a hit from you because I'm sure you probably.
Like we're talking like a meter away. He just sticks his head around, pop, and I genuinely have, like, to me that's fantastic because it's encouraging gameplay, it's encouraging coordination, people working together, bringing a new level to it. So, at no point in time is any of my fun using a shield impaired by having people do that, because it's a case of yay, well done, cool, back to respawn.
Exactly.
It's like cool, we'll get a chance to reload my magazine sort of thing. Okay.
Yeah.
The downsides to the shield, I'm going to definitely say, are, again, for bucklers. Again, this doesn't apply to them because your hand really isn't impaired. But for the riot shield, it's definitely very limited in what you can actually do with this hand. I could hold a secondary magazine, and thankfully, because the Nightingale's the ergonomics is gravity drop is a thing for it. Just do that, drops out, reload, and again, which gives me 30 shots, okay, as opposed to 15 and like one single oh crap, pico shell. That's good enough for like any sort of one engagement, because I'm either going to be tagged or I'm going to tag the person, at which point in time I've got a chance to lower the guard, pick it up, and bring another one up, okay? But it's definitely something where having you sacrifice a lot of tactical flexibility in terms of, I'll draw a grenade or I'll draw a smoke grenade or I'll do something else. So it's a trade-off,
Yeah, I mean, I think that particularly with the shield is absolutely a good point. If you are a less mobile individual, I mean, I found myself on Saturday running, tactical advancing or tactical jogging, as we say, more than I would otherwise do. And that was just because I think I was getting in the game a little bit more. And I knew that there were people with shields, for example, that I had to get round. But if you aren't able to move as quickly, or if you are less mobile than some of the other people that are like Ewan and Ross and the guys that just run rings around everyone, that gives you an extra little bit of survivability. So yeah, I'm all for it, and it's definitely something that helps get more people in the game.
I would like to add then on the shield point of, it was based on a discussion in the Discord at one point, what that I was having with Spectre and others, is that I don't think in my opinion, as someone who rarely uses shields, but sometimes do, but more often comes across them, I feel as though shield busters for a game shouldn't be a thing. I like the idea of having some kind of ammo to dispose of a shield for that life, force the person to respawn. But I don't feel as though anything that forces, I feel as though anything that forces someone to change their loadout mid-game, I feel as though it shouldn't be a thing, in my opinion.
Deleting the shield for the rest of the game, for example.
So obviously...
do away with the shield breaking mechanic.
Yeah, so obviously James said that a Demolisher Rocket breaks it for like 10 minutes or whatever he said. But in my opinion, a Demolisher Rocket should follow the same rules as like a Mega. It should force the person to respawn, but they shouldn't have to put the shield down because that is their loadout.
Yeah. And it might be that person's only brought that particular, like a pistol, like David with a Nightingale, for example.
Or like Aiden with his little shield and his jury. If he didn't have that shield, the jury isn't much good, really.
No, he's very exposed.
We getting some background audio?
Yeah, I think that was from Darren. Yeah, I take that point. Yeah, I mean, Aiden was lethally effective with that jury. And again, it's his play style. He's fast, he's nimble, he runs around the back of the enemy team, shoots them in the backside, runs away. And without the shield, he would have had to have been much more tactical, much more careful with where he took his shots from, where he took his shot, where he made his shots. So yeah, I see the point. I can see an argument for it, but I think generally in my experience, most people don't bring breaking ammo because breaking ammo is demolisher rockets, which are useful for about 3 feet. So it's very limited when that happens. I think some games do use like sock grenades as break-in, or they use the Whistler football type arrows.
Bristol Blast had it in
Yes.
Maddox's Fire
Yeah.
Team ran a video.
That's what prompted me for that. And I think, I know what you mean. And I kind of agree, Ben. I think if you're making someone then change the loadout they plan to run for the day, it does kind of, as much as it encourages them to maybe try a different game type halfway through the day, it might be that they lose their shield straight away and they plan to use that for the entire match. And it just kind of,
And to then immediately link it back to the encouraging for perhaps individuals who maybe not as physically able, particularly something that was critically important for them to level the playing field. No. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I think to hark back to think it's just a game. It's kids' toys. It's just a game. Daz is doing parenting
Speaking of kids.
responsibilities. Yeah, let's look at that. Well, get him on camera then. Come on.
Come on, Darren.
Must be
Come on, get him to say hello.
You've had my cat in. Get the kids in.
Come here.
Yeah.
Come here. Come here. Say hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Say good night.
Good
night.
Their bairns are adorable.
Yeah. Again, getting kids enjoying the hell out of Nerf, always a massive plus from my perspective. And I know when Darren does bring his kids to the Grimlock Nerf events, they always enjoy themselves so much. They have a whale of a time, tire themselves out, which I'm sure Darren's pleased about. And they're usually lethally effective as well, because they've usually got FIB printed Griffins where the rest of the kids are using stock Nerf.
The youngest two have both got, well, to be fair, the youngest two and the oldest lad have all got they've printed Griffins. The oldest lad has kind of, over the last few gun experiences, tweaked his particular gameplay and style, and he's more, it seems to be he's going down the route very much similar to Ross, where he just absolutely charges around like a mad fool. Obviously, being 14 years old and the size of a gnat and about as the weight of a whippet, he can literally do that all day long at gun to great effect. And they love it to the point where the eldest lad now, when we are there, he will be literally a couple of months touching off 15. So we have asked for permission, and he has bent our ear relentlessly about coming to other events, better events, higher FPS events. So we have DM'd Nerf Shack to whether or not he would be allowed, bearing in mind he is going to be under, shall we say, older person supervision. I won't say adults because that's a very broad spectrum.
We're all big
adults.
kids.
Which he's been given permission to come along, so he should be at Bob Shack.
Nice.
So that would be his first, shall we say, mainstream high FPS event. So we'll see.
In which case, then, I look forward to being tagged in the back of the head with a shot by your bairns.
I would no doubt recommend, undoubtedly say that, it'll either be him or Ross that will do that, because I imagine due to the fact that they have very, very similar play styles and the fact that Josh can probably easily outrun Ross all day long, I would imagine that they will not be very far apart from each other most of that weekend.
I don't think I saw Josh stationary at all at Grim Up Near 54.
Oh no,
He was
no,
just
absolutely
constantly
not.
in motion, constantly shooting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, but he absolutely loves it, which is what, like I say, touches on the subject that Bonehead mentioned earlier, getting the younger into Nerf. There's your result. Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. Look forward to it every weekend, to the point, like you say, he specifically asked on more than one occasion.
But if it wasn't so far away, you'd go to Belfast as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. As Susie just literally said through the doorway, if it wasn't so far away and the logistics of it, he'd probably be joining us at Foam Fest as well, but maybe in a couple of years.
Yeah, maybe in a couple of years. Now, I'll open it up just as for closing comments. Any last things to be said? Darren, I know that you were a little bit busy earlier on. Did you have anything to say on the Shield topic again?
Yeah, I was trying to listen in. I was literally doing the picking up the Susie Nerfer from work, and the coverage went a bit spotty, so that's why I was flashing in and out of screen. Shields for me,
it's all right.
Shields for me really doesn't make much of a difference. I have absolutely no qualms whatsoever. People rocking shields. I know a lot of people use shields very effectively. I have no issue when I come up against a shield, because it's literally I've played enough now. I've played enough higher end events against shields, not against shields, that I've sort of like you've I think it was you, Dave, that said you naturally sort of like grow your skills, etc., and you adapt. I now automatically, as soon as I block on a shield, I automatically either go, no, up, no, can't get that, right, legs, because it's inevitable. If you've got a shield, you're covering your midsection to head, or you're covering midsection to below. So it can't do both. It never can unless you have a ridiculously big shield. And then again, that comes into the play that you can't move very quick with it. So you literally, there's your shield, quick flank, bang, there, got you.
Yeah.
So I automatically, it's like head on show, no, legs on show, yes, bang. So I nearly always, my loadout, rock the FDL. It's nearly always on single shot. I very seldom put it on full auto, apart from the giggle factor on certain occasions when, I think it was this Saturday, we know Outlander, Andy was hunkered in the corner of building 3, I think. And it was like, literally, I hadn't spotted him when I entered the building, tagged me, tagged your Sarah, and a couple of others. So I went, right, drop the mag, new mag, legged it to respawn, back again, full auto, done.
Everybody in the building! Yeah. Everyone in!
Lord, Andy, face the
Nicky, motherfucker.
Somebody use cover! Andy, straight ahead!
Well. Yeah, I'll take that.
Everybody in! Dodge them ones.
But again, that for me was a highlight, Darren. Sorry, you've just kind of unlocked a memory for me. I was in the building and I knew that Outlander was sort of prone to my left in the corner with his
Yes, you were the other player there that we tagged you, and we thought that was it. We cleared it.
Yeah, he'd got his Harrier, but he'd also got his Nightingale on his chest, and he was laying prone. And Sarah came round the corner. She tagged me, and she was like, "Oh, you all right?" She thought she'd hit me in the face. I was like, "Oh no, you hit me there." I was like, "I'm gonna go and respawn now without sort of trying not to look at Outlander because I knew he was down there." And as I left the building, I heard you yell, everyone in the building, and then I just heard Outlander's Nightingale fire up and pop, 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 get 3 or 4 of you, and clear the room. And then obviously you'd realise he was there, and someone, I think I heard someone yell, "Oh no, 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 no! Don't come in, don't come in!" And it was just brilliant to see that, kind of hear the panic from you guys, and also sort of watch Outlander or hear Outlander just tag you all instantaneously. It was glorious.
There was a couple of moments like that Outlander got me suddenly out of he'll pop up somewhere. There was one particular instant when we were playing the Big Five, like you say, you just unlocked different moments. He popped up on the bank opposite, I think it's between building 2 and 3, and popped me to my shoulder. And it's like one of them where you're like looking round and you spot him up on the bank, and he's waving at me. I'm like, "Oh, you very, very naughty man." And you have a bit of a banter exchange between each other, and then off you go to respawn again. But yeah, there was a couple of exchanges like that between me and Outlander. But getting back to the shields, personally, no issue whatsoever. Because like I say, I've usually got 9 times out of 10, my loadout's the FDL on single shot, but you spam that trigger and you're near enough next door to the full auto it's capable of. If I haven't got that, I've got my Diana, and it's literally straight. Your legs covered, yes, right. Unfortunately, your head's getting it. If your head's covered, your legs are getting it. And normally, it's also it's subconscious. It's like because you're transitioning from normal center math going up, you know that the first might miss because you're in midpoint of transitioning your shot elevation. So it's literally pop, 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 and you know that normally 9 times out of 10, one of those 3 to 4 shots, one of them's going to hit. Occasionally it's like bang, 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 you get 2, 3 to the head, and you're like, "Oh, yeah, sorry about that." But hey ho, it's it's part and parcel of Nerf. We all get hit in the face or the head area at some point. It's part of the game. But
yeah,
as I say, as a whole, the shields, no issue. And worst case scenario, if you come round and you know that there's a shield, which I did happen to do in the Big 6, and you concentrate on somebody, and like I said, you run around the corner, and there's Aiden with his Captain America shield, and you went, okay, that's not a problem, but then you very quickly clock Ben with the Milsig, and I can't remember his name now, the other guy, right behind him on his shoulders, and you go, "Oh dear," and very, very promptly turn around and run away, shouting. And I think I did that on one occasion, running past Sarah, and Sarah literally just peeled over in absolute laughter as I'm running away like a naughty schoolboy, just about getting caught by the teacher. But
I believe, and this may need to be cut, but I believe that is called a French advance.
But generally, shields, no issue at all, because 9 times out of 10, you've always got a means of. You don't need to carry Mega. You don't need to carry Mod Rockets. You've always got a means of being able to get the said player. Because as I say, the shield, even with yours, Dave, at any point when you're advancing, you had it slightly lower. Unfortunately, your head's exposed. Or when you lift it up because you know you're potentially advancing on oncoming players, your legs are on show. So there is always a part of said shield bearer's person. So and again, failing all that, if they've reasonably got themselves into a position where majority of the body's covered by cover, shrubbery, shall we say, maybe the taller flanking type ones, yes, or a building, or you've got a bit of an embankment and you're just popping over with the shield. So literally all you can see is the shield. Worst case scenario, right? Grenade, pin, lob, done. Bye. So yeah. Shields, for me, I know some people get hung up on it and like, "Oh my God, shields." Personally, no.
Yeah.
Nerf better.
Yeah, I actually found myself in the latter half of the day, actually finding myself that when I started to become under fire, I would actually try and drop. Now, I'm 40 and my knees are knackered, so I definitely ended up paying for it. Okay, but God bless knee pads. But when I was finding that was coming under fire, I would try and drop down. Sometimes I would actually just failed to drop down and just hit the deck. But that's fine, right? Okay, now I'm going to be. I mean, I'm not Jamie's size, as Bendy will attest. Okay, but Jamie could hide behind the entire shield, right, and quite genuinely use it to very good advantage. Just go, nah, you ain't touching me, mate. Just as like everything's just hidden by it. Okay. But for somebody like me, that's not happening. That's not happening. Even if I could sort of turn sideways.
But even that, again, you saying that he could very effectively hide behind it. You're always within a team, and 9 times out of 10, you've always at any one point, 9 times, like you say, 9 times out of 10, got another member of the team or 2 members of your team close by. You can usually shout out, and they'll probably hear and because if you're engaging to the point where, yeah, okay, they're hiding behind the shield and you're not managing to hit him, you can usually, like you've just said, then when you were coming onto players and yet so you'd hunker down a bit, that was still effective because you stopped. So therefore you're completely exposed, because then if any other player coming around hearing them saying, they're on with contact with shield bearer, round they come from one of the other corners perhapsly, and like you say, bang to right, pop. Oh yeah, got me. Mm-hmm. So again, there is always means and ways to very effectively take care of a shield bearer.
It does, I think, would be very easy to put it under the rock paper scissors aspect of things. At no point in time is there something that's just unbeatable. The only way you can't be tagged is if you're not on the game. If you're back at respawn, nobody's hitting you. But that's why I feel that it's something that adds something to the game. It encourages different tactics, but at no point in time does it ever actually really take anything away from it. If I could quickly jump in there, chaps, I am aware that it has been 4 hours that we've been on this particular thing there, and
good luck editing this. I mean, tree.
This tree counter is going to be massive.
Yeah.
Tree. Yeah.
I hate you so much. I hate you so much.
Do you know what? It's a good job none of us are Irish and counting, because every now and again we'd just say tree, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Sorry, casual racism. I'll cut that out.
No, that's getting left. That's just absolutely getting left.
Yeah.
So what I will do just now is I will promptly draw this episode to a close by saying thank you to everybody for joining me this evening for this particular episode there. And I hope to... No, I can't do this. I'm going to regret this. Any final comments? If I hear something plant related, I know where you live, Brendan. Right? And I know where you live, Daz. Okay.
I was just going to say it's been a pleasure. Use more Ultra Blasters and Team Cat Ears for the win. But yes, that's it. Tree! Sorry, couldn't resist. I'm getting glitter bombed, aren't I?
Yeah. Right now. Right.
I've moved. I don't live there anymore, honest.
No, because I've got one better. I just have to tell Sarah not to do any more orders for you.
Oh, that's evil. That is evil.
Below
that
the
is
belt.
yeah, that's nasty. That's that.
Too far? Too far.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Go on. I'll shut up.
You two. Any final comments?
Not particularly from my end. I think we've pretty much covered it. Other than we'll just carry on as we are doing, enjoying the events we've got, trying and entice as many people as we can in, and enjoy this hobby of ours of Nerf.
Bendy?
Yeah, it's a nice hobby. Nice to see, at least on the last Dishforth, we had good numbers. Hopefully it improves even more from that. And other than that, just thanks for having me on this tonight.
No worries, mate. So thank you to everybody for joining me. Catch you all in the next episode.
Thank you.